This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
What is up? It's Robert Trejo, your host of A Bucking Spurs podcast. This episode is just a recap. USA is out of the FIBA World Cup tournament, going down against France. Patty Mills is still fighting. Australia is still pushing, advancing to the quarterfinals, but Marco Belinelli is out. Chimezi Metu is out, and Derek White obviously is no longer playing as well. So we're just going to break down a little bit of that. Then before you go, I'm going to give you in honor of 9/11 where I was, that where were you 9/11 story that everyone likes to hear. Give you that before we go. But first, we're going to drop it like it's hot.
It's not supposed to be easy. Every round gets tougher. Penetrate hard. Good passes. Shoot with confidence. I want some nasty.
First things first, USA is out. Now, I think from the get-go, we knew that this USA team was just as good as everybody else. They weren't the clear-cut favorite. We didn't have our A squad out there. Let's take a look at the stats in this game. Donovan Mitchell led the way with 29 points, and he balled out, yes, but I mean, it wasn't enough. Kemba Walker only dropped 10 points, 0 assists, 3 rebounds, and those are the two guys that we need, that we've been riding their backs this entire tournament. So finally, once, Donovan didn't have all that great of a game, even though in the stat sheet shows he had 29 points. When those two guys are struggling, we're going to struggle. And kudos to them, because they have been balling out and carrying us every game so far in this tournament, and we've needed them. Harrison Barnes chipped in with 4 points. Jaylen Brown, 9 points. Marcus Smart finished with 11 points. Our boy Derek White finished with 4 points and 1 assist, 1 rebound. It just wasn't enough to get it done. If you take a look at the French national team. Evan Fournier of the Orlando Magic dropped 22 on us, dropped a 20-piece. They had two guys that scored in the 20-point plus range, and that's Rudy Gobert, who was a monster on the board. 16 rebounds, 21 points. And then our ex-Spur, Nando De Colo. Shout out to Nando De Colo. When he came into the fold in San Antonio, I was pretty hyped about him because he had the passing skill, right? And any point guard that can drop dimes, I'm a huge fan of. So Nando finished with 18 points as well. And those guys just took it to us. Frank Ntilikina had 11. Nicholas Batum just kind of chipped away with 5 assists and 6 points. And, they kicked our ass. To be honest, we were down. We fought our way back. It just wasn't enough. And that was the story against these teams that have been playing together. If you look at this squad from France, these are guys that have been playing together. This core group of guys, right? Nicholas Batum, Evan Fournier, Rudy Gobert, Nando De Colo, Frank Ntilikina. These are all guys that have been on this squad for a long time. Usually we see Tony Parker along in this squad too. But, whenever we played against Australia, Turkey, these teams that just have been having that continuity, and each player knows their roles and they know how to execute. Their roles are different from wherever they play outside of the FIBA game, but they see us. All of our players have roles on their NBA teams, but we're still trying to figure out our roles during this tournament, right? So during this tournament, we're trying to see, okay, well, who's going to be helping us here? Who's going to be getting our rebounds? Who's going to be leading us in assists? Who's going to be our lockdown defenders? We're figuring all this out on the fly. And it just wasn't enough to play, to beat a team like France. And I think that, kudos to France. congratulations to all the teams that are still in this tournament, right? So we have Australia, Argentina took down Serbia. I don't think anyone saw that happening. So shout out to USA for holding it down. It is September 11th, so we're going to be a little extra patriotic today. At the end of the episode, I'll be dropping my where I was on September 11th, right? But again, these NBA players, man, they gave up their summer. They dedicated themselves to represent our country, and no matter what the result is, you got to be proud of these guys. They played their asses off. It wasn't because of a lack of effort why we lost today. It was just a lack of continuity, a lack of maybe some skill. France was very good. Serbia was very good. Australia is very good. All these teams that played in this tournament are very good teams. It's not like we're playing just these slack teams that don't know how to play basketball. These guys are they're playing this game a lot better than we are. But we're more athletic, more stronger. We're trying to figure it out on the fly, whereas they already got their formulas ready to go. And some of the post-game clips that have come out since we've lost, which is earlier this morning, the players are coming out and they're talking about, this team was proud about what they did. It wasn't about who wasn't playing, because that's what the media like to talk about, who wasn't on the team, who dropped out, this guy dropped out, who's not here. And our team was never about that. They were always focused on who was in that gym and how they were going to make that work with the pieces that they have. Pop was talking about these guys, that he's super proud of these guys, and I think we all are, guys. I mean, if you saw these games, these guys played hard, man. This is a tough game, and they played hard, so it was admirable to see them do that. And yeah, we were missing a couple key pieces, you know what I mean? We had what we had, and I think we did a hell of a job, because like I said in the beginning of this rant or whatever I'm going on, we were just as good as no one else. We were just as good as everybody else, meaning there wasn't really a lot of teams that were so below us, besides maybe like Japan and a couple of these other smaller country teams. A lot of these teams that don't have any type of professional game, on their roster. But we were just as good as anyone else too, and we could have lost and we could have won pretty much every game that we played. But we came up with a couple clutch W's, and every single person that's on this roster is going back to the NBA next year better. All right, let's take a break.
Hey guys, Mike here, a friend from the podcast of Chimezi Playground. It's a podcast about board games, pasta, and a whole lot of fun. You can find out about sweet new games that are coming out, sweet old games that have been out for a while, and the best favorites. Who knows? Someone might even get a golden hoodie. Matt, tell them where you can find them.
You can find us at Chimezi Podcast at Twitter and Instagram. And also you can find us on ChimezPlayground.com.
Wow, you guys nailed it.
Good job.
Nailed it.
I got an IMDb page, so...
Shout out to our boy Patty Mills. Patty is just a machine. He's out there killing folks. He knows his role. His role is to get buckets. And our role in his San Antonio role is to defend well, to play the backup point, to run the offense, to hit open shots, to find the players that are there to score a lot of points, which is not Patty's role. And he does our role, the role that we have him in San Antonio, he does perfectly. And when they adjust this role for him, and it's not the first time that we've seen Patty Mills go off like this, and just the way he comes off screens, man, the way he cuts hard, the way he finishes off the glass, like high off the glass, low off the glass, the way he separates his defender from the ball with his body, doing all those things, and just the way he gets his shot off from mid-range or from the three is so much fun to watch. It's just so much fun to watch him do this, because we all love Patty. Patty's an honorary San Antonian for life. We know that. He's been with us for so long. He's a champion with us. And to see him have his moment to shine, again, because this isn't the first time, like I said, but it's awesome to watch because he deserves it. And I hope that's the team we're pulling for now. I mean, if you're a Spurs Nation and you're still watching this FIBA World Cup, we have Argentina, but Manu's not there no more, so we can kind of pump the brakes off Argentina. They're an America team, but they're part of that, American World Cup group. But Manu held me close to Argentina for a long time. Held my heart close to Argentina for a long time. I carried a flame for Argentina as long as Manu was there, and I still do, kind of, but because I love the basketball that they played for so many years with that team. But right now, I don't want Spain winning anything. I don't want Marc Gasol winning anything else. He just won a championship, all right. Take it easy, Mark. Take it easy. Right. France, again, same thing with Tony Parker. Tony Parker's not there anymore, so as much as I would always cheer for France, and I really let's get this summer is all about Patty Mills. Let's all try to get on the Patty Mills train right now. Congratulate Derek White for everything that he's done in this FIBA Cup, but now let's go ahead and get behind Patty, because that dude is world class on the court, world class in the community in San Antonio, starting his clean water project in Australia for indigenous tribe members and areas over there that can't get clean water. So he's doing that. So he's just world class. So let's give it up like we do for Patty Mills. Okay. So let's talk about Marco Belinelli really quick and the loss that they suffered to Spain, the one that knocked him out of the FIBA tournament. Here's his quote. "I have played an awful game. I take responsibility for that. I am sorry. A big part of that bad game is on me." Marco, no. Marco took the blame for the loss against Spain. Sorry. You know what? He had a terrible game. He was shooting 3 for 16 from the floor. Yeah, but you know what? Basketball games aren't won or lost on jump shots. Okay, Marco. You know that, Marco. Even though Marco puts a lot of that team on his back, which he should, him and Andre Gallinari and Belinelli were like the two captains of that team. They're the ones that carried the load offensively. But you know what? A lot of, that sounds pretty familiar, like us here in USA with Donovan Mitchell and Kemba Walker. We put the load on those two guys. And when one of those guys doesn't shoot all that well, like Kemba did for us, it hurt us. That's this tournament. You have to be better than that. You can't rely on one or two guys. The teams that play like a well-oiled machine are the ones that are going to end up in the finals. That's why Serbia getting knocked out was a huge take for me. But Australia, Spain, you know what I mean? Like those two guys, those two teams are going to be France. Those are two well-oiled machines, and in this tournament they're gonna play good. So Marco, was hard on himself, and that just shows the passion, the character that he has. A leader always knows when to take the blame. A leader is never afraid to take the blame. A leader is always gonna take the blame and always give the praise to his teammates and to his coaching staff and to the people around him. That's what leaders do, and that's what Marco Belinelli did all tournament. And we're excited for Marco. I think him playing in this tournament and is gonna not translate over till next season. Like I'm saying, for all these young guys, like, oh, this is just gonna carry on to next season. Actually, I think these minutes that he played in this tournament were pretty heavy on his legs. And so I hope right now he takes his well-deserved break, his rest, comes into next season healthy and energized. Right, so maybe we put Marco down on the totem pole on playing time. I mean, we all know Marco's the guy. Marco's Marco. He's gonna play big minutes, and in the playoffs, as long as the matchup isn't too crazy, he's gonna play. Because we all know he's not the best defender, but if he can go out there and score points, stretch the floor with this 3 ball, get to the free throw line, and make the right pass, right, make the right play, then he's going to play. And so we need Marco for the long haul, and I hope that this tournament didn't take a lot of the juice out of his engine, and he still has enough fuel left in the tank to start up a season in 20 days. 20 days, players. That's right, 20 days away from training camp. Then we're going to see our young bucks in the gym. We're going to see these old guys come around and our new guys come around. I'm just so excited for training camp to start. We're going to talk a lot about that later on another episode. But those are my quick takes on the FIBA tournament. Go Team USA. We're proud of you guys. Go Patty, go. Marco and Chimezi, way to ball out, brothers. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break. And then once we come back, I'm going to give you my where I was 9/11 story.
Hello, I'm Tez from the Clock End Talk, and I know what you're thinking. What is a Clock End Talk? Well, I can tell you. We're a podcast about the Arsenal Football Club. Available on all good podcast apps, YouTube, Spotify. You can find us on Twitter at @clockend_talk. So come and join myself, Tony and Schwinn, as we discuss the roller coaster of the Arsenal Football Club.
I'm going to give you all my September 11th story. Everyone has one. Where were you at during September 11th? And if you're my age or even just a little bit younger than me, you remember that day. It's ironic that I'm a science teacher right now. I taught 7th grade science for many years. And when September 11th happened, I was in my 7th grade science class, right? So it's kind of full circle coming back around to that moment. That moment was as a 13-year-old, 12-year-old kid, whatever I was at the time, I didn't really grasp what was happening, what was going down, but I remember everyone was getting pulled out of school. I got pulled out of school, me and my sister, and we went to my aunt's house and we were watching the news, right? Every single person in America was watching the news. And you could have been, it doesn't have to be the news. You could have been watching the Disney Channel and they were showing 9/11 footage, right? So it was an epic day, and I just want to take a moment to remember everyone who was lost, to remember everybody who fought to save somebody else that day. Remember everyone that had to make that ultimate sacrifice in that building. Those that had to jump out or went down with it or whatever it is. Those who went towards the smoke instead of running from it, right? All the firefighters and policemen that gave their lives, and even the ones that didn't, and the ones that are still with us, thank God for that. This country is very, very proud. Today's a special day, and I just wanted to take a moment to remember those who served, who were there, and all those troops that served in Iraq and Afghanistan after 9/11 too, right? So we can't just forget about those guys as well. A lot of people paid the ultimate sacrifice, not just on that day, but after that day as well. So shout out to all our armed forces that went and served over there. My girlfriend's dad, served over there, and it's for all those families that had to deal with loss and tragedy and depression and not having a mother or a father in the home because they were all fighting in that war, or they were part of the tragic event on 9/11. We remember you guys. I think of you guys all the time, and I appreciate everyone that's still out there serving for our country. And USA is proud, and we're strong. And I think that event ultimately brought us closer together, and we can't forget. We'll never forget USA. All the way, baby.
That's right.